Hello, I'm Jack and this is Entertainment World, and today I'll be talking about Sucker Punch, which is Zack Snyder's 5th film. This is obviously my 5th review in my Zack Snyder film review series, which will eventually lead into reviewing the DCEU films as well, in the lead up to the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Even though this film is not my favourite Zack Snyder film by quite a lot, it is still a really fun film and it has quite a lot of messages and is still brilliantly made. It's just not my favourite out of all of his work. But I'll be talking about that now. Because I like to start off with the negatives, I'll be doing them first, as I like to get them out the way, because then I can talk about positives and end on a really good positive note, instead of ending on a negative note. So I'll be doing the negatives now. Okay, so my first negative is it's very easy to be confused by this film. If you've watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The whole film is sort of like a dream. So there's the real world, which is the opening of the film. You get to see the real world, and then there's a dream world which the character lives in. It's like an enhanced, exaggerated, sort of retelling of what actually happened, but through this fictionalized, glorified, extravagant version of those events, even though you don't actually get to see what those events in the real world were. So it's you at the end of the film, it sort of comes together. I'm trying to not spoil this, I'm sorry, but it's very difficult. It's like, so there's the setup. So the setup of the film is a girl is sent to a mental asylum because her mum died and her stepdad tried to get all the will money and then tried to kill her and her sister, or rape her sister, or essentially it's implied that he did not have good intentions whatsoever. And she tries to shoot him, but in doing so accidentally shoots her sister, so she then gets sent to this mental asylum for, murdering her sister. And while she's there, it then sort of like montages really quickly her stay there, and you don't actually get to see barely any of what happens. And she's going to actually have a lobotomy. And when she's about to have it, the film then flashes, cuts to something which happened earlier, and sort of says what happened between those her arriving at the asylum and her having her procedure, but over that course of those 5 days, week, whatever it was. But it's this like dreamland sort of retelling of those events in much, much greater detail, because it was like a 1-minute montage sort of thing earlier on, and this one's like the majority of the film. But instead of it being a mental asylum, it's a brothel. They're not mental asylum patients, they're basically sex slaves. The mental asylum warden is now the club owner. Their doctor is now their dance teacher. And all the basically people who work in the mental asylum now have another role or another purpose in this fictionalized brothel place to suit that story going on there. Although what happens during those that fictionalized reality of it all is actually what happened in that week's time at the mental asylum. So that's just me trying to describe it as quickly as I can. But then there's a dream within a dream, and that's every time the girl dances, she pictures this basically music video type action sequence in these very, very different sets of scenarios, but with other people, the group of women she's with at the mental asylum, and then turned brothel, in, you know, her fictionalized reality, and she is then in these action scenarios, sequences which are made a bit like a music video, and that is what plays whenever she dances, and you don't actually get to see her dance. You see these extravagant action set pieces. So, and then when she finishes dancing, it cuts back to this brothel reality. The actual reality is only at the beginning of the film and the end of the film. And if you don't understand that, if you don't know that when you watch it, the chances are you'll be sitting there thinking, I don't know, why have we gone from this, you know, from one thing to this to now this? So what I'm saying is, it's very sort of confusing, and if you're not paying 110% attention to the film, you'll be really fucking confused and you'll have no idea what's going on. Although, that is your fault. If you're watching a film, I have been guilty of this in the past, I'm not going to be, you know, completely hypocritical about it, but I understand if I'm not paying attention to a film, it's my fault for not understanding it. If I'm not giving a film my full attention and my, you know, my full interest, the story's not going to capture me. I'll miss bits, I won't understand characters, and I'll be like, okay, well, I don't get it, I don't care, whatever, it's the film's fault, it was shit, and blah blah blah. And I don't want to be like that. If I watch a film and I'm not paying full attention to it, I will, you know, say, yeah, I should have paid attention to it, I need to watch it again, it was my fault, that was my problem, I should have been paying more attention to it, whereas other people blame the film. And Sucker Punch also is definitely a film you need to watch more than once. You won't understand it on the first... I didn't understand it on the first viewing. I understood it more on the second viewing. I watched it a third time, and I watched the extended cut for the first time, which was for this review. I still don't fully understand everything, but yeah, I think you need to watch this film more than once to fully understand it, and when you're watching it, you need to pay full attention to it. And I feel like that's another thing people criticise Zack Snyder for, is because you need to fully pay attention to his film and then watch it 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 times to get a full grasp on it. And, you know, loads of other films are like that. Inception's like that. Interstellar you should watch more than... I mean, I've only watched it once, but it's something you should watch more than once. People, though, you know, they don't criticise those films, but they love to jump on Zack Snyder when there's something they don't understand, you know, first time round. However, even though, like I said, that's your fault for not paying, you know, fully paying attention to it, this film is a little bit like Zack Snyder's Justice League. Not in that it was heavily reshot with another director and only like 20 minutes of the film was actually the original director's work and vision. This film originally was longer and had a completely different ending, but that was all cut out, that was removed, and because of that, this film does feel a bit empty. It doesn't feel like it lives up to its full potential and premise, just on the basis that the original director's vision has been taken out. And Zack Snyder is the only director who could direct something like Sucker Punch and make it work. This film could literally have been abysmal, the worst piece of shit ever made, and just being like, oh my god, I hate this so much. This is so bad. If anybody else tried to do it, it would probably come out like that. Because this film is very Zack Snyder. I mean, he made the film, he directed it, and he wrote it with somebody else who I'll say in a second. And because of that, he knew exactly what he wanted it to be. When he made it, he knew what it wanted to be. And the problem is, when a studio then interferes and changes an ending and things like that, it will affect the rest of the film, because when somebody's made this one singular thing, and then somebody else interferes with it, even if it's just for the last 10 minutes, or if it's just removing 5 or 10 minutes out of the film or something like that, it can massively affect the overall story, the overall message, the overall point of the film, and then you're left with a film that doesn't really make any sense. and the theatrical cut was heading towards it. I didn't like the theatrical cut anywhere near as much as the extended cut. I watched the extended cut, and it massively improved the ending because they put in another scene which added a whole new meaning to what was going on. And because of that, you know, originally when I watched it for the first time, I felt like it was just Zack Snyder had an idea for 4 action sequences, didn't know how to make that into one film, and then he made this sort of like mental asylum brothel sort of plot thing where a woman then pictures, you know, daydreams herself in these scenarios whenever she dances, so he could do those 4 action sequences, because there's 4 of them throughout the film. However, when I've watched the extended cut, which added in more of Zack Snyder's original vision, I could actually see what he was going for, and you know, a lot better than I was with the theatrical cut. And also, I was a lot younger when I watched the theatrical cut. Now that I'm older and I have a much better understanding of what Zack Snyder's like as a person, as a director, and as a storyteller, I understand this film a lot better, and I think it's more than just a fun action film. Although I didn't think much more than that until watching the extended cut last week. And having watched it, I think it was a big improvement over the theatrical cut. But yeah, if you watch the theatrical cut, it does feel empty. It does feel like it can't live up to its premise as well as it can. Even the extended cut has that, you know, feeling to it. Not as bad. Not, you know, it definitely is a significant improvement, but it still has that feeling because the original director's vision, the original director's ending, and how it was all meant to play out originally still hasn't been released. There's a lot of questions that aren't really answered, and it's really difficult to try and come up with your own interpretation of it because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you think about it for too long. It's just you sort of guessing, and because it's just you guessing and having to create a lot of your own answers, that is a bit of a problem. It works with other films if they give you things to work with, whereas the last 5 minutes of this film doesn't really give you much to work with. You just sort of sat there like, I'm having to try and make up my own version of what the hell has just happened, because it doesn't really say. Obviously, if you've watched a film and you watch it, you might fully understand it. You might absolutely love this film, and you might have, you know, you might understand it completely, and you think I'm just full of shit and don't know what I'm talking about. But this is just my interpretation. I would love to see Zack Snyder's original version of the film, because I want to see how the original ending is. I much prefer the extended cut, because not only does it actually elongate the action sequences and make them more fun, it also improves the overall message and point and premise of the film, although it still doesn't, unfortunately, live up to its original, you know, its premise and story. And the theatrical cut is essentially just a fun action film because its message is completely butchered in that version. So that's my overall point. Is that it, with the negatives, is it doesn't really live up to its full premise or make a lot of sense towards the end because of the weird, altered, changed cut ending with scenes missing, although the extended cut does improve upon that. So like I said, it's easy to be confused by it. I'm still a little bit confused by it. The ending is a bit odd and leaves a lot of things unanswered, is a bit confusing. It doesn't live up to its full premise, and I think the Snyder cut of this film should be released because hopefully it will improve it. However, like I said, it's still a fun, enjoyable film, and it still has a bit of the message in there, and that's the theatrical cut, and the extended cut does greatly improve upon that. So now are we talking about the positives? Sorry, just changed my camera quality there because I realised it wasn't working to its full potential. Anyway, so my first positive is the action sequences of this film are absolutely incredible, and I mean they're fantastic. They're brilliant. Every good describing word I could think of, I would be able to use to, to apply them to this film for its action sequences, because they are fantastic. The stunt work is amazing. The choreography, the camera angles, the long takes, the editing, the zoom ins and zooms out. Sorry, the zoom ins and zoom outs. The fast slow motion thing, which Zack Snyder is very famous for. Everything about this film is incredible when it comes to the action and special effects. I mean, they're absolutely incredible, like brilliant, and the costumes as well, and the set designs and everything like that is absolutely fantastic. And I cannot praise this film enough for how cool the action sequences are. The CGI and green screen is also incredible. I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic. It's stunning. It's some of the best effects I've ever seen in a film. And the fact that this, the effects of this film belong to this film, it's not a comic book film, it's not a superhero film, it's not part of a big franchise or anything like that. And the fact that this film's effects are this good, and the action is this good, and everything about, things like that, and the designs and sets and everything involving these 4 action set pieces in these 4 dream-like scenarios are absolutely amazing, just purely incredible. The music, also the song choices over each scenario as well, also work incredibly. They really add to the overall feel of each one. They all have their unique feel. They don't feel too similar. They're all different weapons, different settings, different realities. It's sort of like a mixture as well of timelines and world elements. So you've got the world, the first dream sequence, which is sort of like this ancient Japan setting, but has got like giant statues and things like that, and the main character's baby doll has to fight these 3 huge statue-like warriors, which are all using different types of weaponry. One's got a Gatling gun, the other one's got a sword, and it's all like this mixture of different timelines, different times, and different story elements. And then the second one is a World War I setting, and with like dead Germans which have been brought back to life using clockwork and steam. And there's a lot of futuristic gear in that one with a robot suit. The third one is this like Lord of the Rings sort of Game of Thrones type thing with like trolls, dragons, castles, but they're in a plane, and sort of like, more modern military standard equipment you'd get in real life. And then the last one is set in this massively futuristic city with robots and like huge hover trains. Yet they're in I think it's a Huey helicopter they're in. It's just incredible. They're all so bizarre, but they're all so unique. And they work. They're massively entertaining, and they're so well done. And they all look absolutely fantastic in every possible way. I cannot praise each action sequence enough. My favourite one is the World War I setting. I absolutely love that action sequence. It's fantastic. It's just thrilling to watch, and is so well made. And the Germans look terrifying with their sort of like zombie-like appearance and ghost sort of like steam coming off them, and the clockwork movements, and their leader, who is like a horrifically deformed looking thing, is terrifying to look at, but is like, wow, that's so bizarre and creepy. It works. The second would be the first one against the giant statues, and then the Lord of the Rings setting sort of thing. And my least favourite, although it is still good, is the futuristic train setting. but they're all so thrilling, they're all so unique. I cannot praise it enough. I'll just be going around over and over again. But like I said, the amount of effort that was put into these sequences and the way they look is just fantastic. I can't praise that enough. Just everything about it, especially the effects and stunt work, and, all the camera angles and things like that is just out of this world. 10 out of 10, just brilliant. The cast are all fantastic, and I mean they work really, really well together in every scenario. The real world and both layers of the dream world, they're all brilliant. You've got Emily Browning, Abby Cornish, Vanessa Hudgens, Jamie Chung, Jenna Malone, Carla Gugino, Oscar Isaacs, Scott Glenn. All of them work really well together. They're a great ensemble cast, and none of them were miscast, and they all had the perfect amount of screen time, and their character stories were all unique in their own way, and I can't imagine a better cast. They were all brilliant. Abby Cornish and Emily Browning give my favourite performances of the film. I think they're both brilliant in this, and I mean, I'm a fan of Abby Cornish anyway through RoboCop, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, 7 Psychopaths. She was also in Zack Snyder's previous film, Legend of the Guardians. I like, her work. I like her as an actress, and she was great in this.
Baby doll, that's Amber. Blondie. And you've already met my sister, Sweet Pea.
Watch yourself.
Yeah, come on, you guys. Just give her a break.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything to you guys. You best friends now?
Will you just let me finish my tour, please?
Emily Browning, who I only know in Legend, was great in this as well.
Let her go, pig.
I don't really know many of the others. I know Carla Gugino through Watchmen, San Andreas, and something else. Night in the Museum. Oscar Isaacs, obviously, in the Star Wars films, and he was Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse. He was in that Netflix film, which I can't remember what it was called. Had Ben Affleck, Triple Frontier, that's it. Had Ben Affleck and Channing Hunnam in it, and I like him as an actor as well. I like Carla Gugino as an actress. So I think it was a great cast. I don't really know the others from anything else. However, they were all good in this film. They all worked really well. They all had a lot of good chemistry. Oscar Isaacs makes a good villain in this. Carla Gugino makes a good sort of like, you don't know where she stands, you don't know if she's good or bad really, and I like her character because she's sort of in the middle. And the 5 women in this mental asylum then turned brothel through the dream sequence, and in the action warriors throughout these various different dream-like battle scenarios were all great. I mean, they all did their roles really well. I could keep going round and round, but yeah, the cast was just really well casted and did their roles perfectly, in my opinion. The music choices as well for the film were great. The music covers were fantastic. Usually films which have covers, you could be like, oh, it's not going to be that good, but they actually were quite good in the film. In the extended cut, there's a dance sequence and a song with singing, like a musical sequence, between Oscar Isaacs and Carla Gugino with the song Love Is the Drug. I don't know how I feel about that sequence. I think it shows the dream glorified, creepy show sort of aspect of the film really well. I know in Zack Snyder's original Snyder cut of this film, There was more musical sequences throughout the film, but this is the only one. And in the theatrical cut, there's none, because this is not in the theatrical cut. But I like it. I could see why some people don't like it. I don't know how I feel about it, because part of me likes it, part of me finds it a little bit jarring. I don't know how I overall feel about it, but at the moment I am going to put it in the positives, because I do think it works, and I think if there was more of them, it would be less out of place. I think it's only because this is the only musical singing sequence in the film, it makes it feel a little bit out of place. But if in the Snyder Cut there was like another 3 or 4 of them, then obviously it won't be so out of place, because there'll be more of them and it would be part of the film and it won't stand out as much. But I will put it in the positives, because it was, again, really well done, was entertaining, and did show the creepiness of the world in a good way. So I am going to put it in the positives for now. Also forgot to say that John Hamm was in the film when I was talking about the cast, and he's great in it as well. I really like John Hamm as an actor, and he was great in this film. He worked well. He is barely in it in the theatrical cut, but in the extended cut he has a much longer, much more screen time, basically tripled, and it's all in one scene. They cut out his one big scene, but because it's like a 5-minute long scene and he's in the whole thing, he didn't have a very big role in the theatrical cut, but he has a much bigger role in the extended cut. And he was cool with his limited amount of screen time, especially in the extended cut, because you got to see a much better version of his performance. And speaking of extended cut, the ending with the extended cut is a lot better, and I mean much, much better. It adds a whole new layer to everything that's just happened, everything that happens throughout the film. Even though it's still not Snyder's full vision, and it still doesn't fully deliver on everything, and it still leaves a lot of questions unanswered, it is a much better ending than the theatrical cut's ending. I mean, it's like makes it 5 times better, level better. I love the end. I love how much it improves it, and yeah, I think the extended cut ending works a whole lot better than the one in the theatrical does. So yeah, I much preferred that ending there. Like I said, I love the Dreamland action sequences, music video, set piece sort of thing. And like I said, the World War One setting was my favourite. And Zack Snyder just gives it his all with those action sequences. This film, I would describe it as like Snyderisms the movie, because there's so many of them in this film. You can definitely tell it's a Zack Snyder film from the way the action's done, the way everything's written, the underlying messages, the way you got to watch it more than once, the colours, the effects, the way everything's done. You can tell it's a very very Zack Snyder-esque type film. It's very much his style. It's like the embodiment of his style. And even though a lot of it was cut out and it isn't his full vision and his full intention, you can still clearly tell that he was the one who structured the film together overall. And I love this film because I love Zack Snyder. I love his Snyderisms, and any film with a lot of Snyderisms in it works for me. And because of that, it makes all the fun action sequences a lot more enjoyable and just incredibly entertaining, as well as it does give it quite a good message. It's definitely one of the most unique films I've ever watched. With the grimness of everything going on, yet at the same time it's got these incredibly ambitious action sequences, and with all these messages and characters and representations of things, you can definitely tell it's a Zack Snyder film. It's really unique. I love it a lot. I mean, I used to just like it. I just used to think it's okay. But, the more I think about it, the more, I like it more since starting this video, just because talking about it. Just because I'm talking about it, I like the film more. It's gone from, it's just Zack Snyder showing how good he is at visual effects sort of film. I've never been one of those people who was Zack Snyder's just style over substance. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just shit, and he just makes shit films look good. I'm not one of those people who just has to, bash him because they're too stupid to figure his films out. And if you're watching it and you're one of those people, I'm no offence, but it is because you're too stupid to figure his films out. Sorry, but he gets so much hate. People who like him get so much hate. I've gotten hate for liking him. You get people like Jodie's Corner, John Campier, Andy Signor, those fucking weirdos who just relish in bashing Zack Snyder and relish in bashing his movement and relish in bashing everybody who likes him and had anything to do with him, or if you ever tweeted, release the Snyder Cut, or if you ever made a post on the internet saying, I liked one of Zack Snyder's films, even if you hated the rest, and all of these things, people who like Zack Snyder, who just even like one of his films, you're a terrible person, you're a fucking idiot, you're a waste of humanity, you like humorless shit, Zack is a terrible... All of these things, getting involved in his personal life, getting involved in your personal life, all of these things, I've never been one of those people, because I am a Zack Snyder fan, obviously. I wear this hoodie, I'm nearly every day. I've got a lot of Zack Snyder clothing, by the way. I don't just wear the same shirt and the same hoodie. In fact, I've got the same shirt and same hoodie. Sorry, not shame. Same shirt and same hoodie. I've got 4 of these. I've actually got 4 of these hoodies. So nearly every day I'm wearing something Zack Snyder related. And my favourite item of clothing, which is a black long coat, which obviously doesn't have Zack Snyder on it, I put a Release the Snyder Cut badge on it and a comedian badge on it, just to still show that I'm part of this movement. I'm really proud to be part of it. I love it. I love Zack Snyder. I love this film. I've gone from liking it, thinking it was okay, to loving it. And I know it sounds weird. I love it so much that I want it to be better. I want the Snyder Cut. I know that sounds a bit weird, like, well, if you want it to be better, you can't love it. I'm willing to put that effort out there to have it released. I want it to be released. I want to watch it. If they did release it, I would definitely watch it. If it was released on disc, I would buy it. And that's what if that all makes sense. I love this film so much, I'm willing to give it that much attention to get its original version released. Although, like I said, it doesn't live up to its full potential, it still gets to a certain point on there quite high up. And I know there is a version of this film out there which, reaches its full potential. And because of that, I want that to be released. I still enjoy this version, however. Even if you just want something fun, this film has a lot of fantastic action sequences that you can watch and be absolutely blown away with. And if you want something deep and meaningful, you can still get that with this film, even though it is also a super fun action film. No matter what you're looking for, something deep and meaningful, or something just entertaining, you can get both of that with this film. It's just that its deep and meaningful nature of it can go even further. So that's my overall opinion on Sucker Punch. Great, unique, brilliant action film that doesn't live up to its full potential because the original version isn't released. However, you can still get so much out of it. I mean, you can get a lot out of it. It's film quality. I'm going to give it probably a 8 out of 10. I've got to be honest. The reason why it's not 8.5 or 9 is because it doesn't live up to its full potential. However, for entertainment value, it's got to be a 9 out of 10. It could use the improvement. It could use the Snyder Cut. But all that would do is turn a really good film into a great film. It's not like Suicide Squad level watered down, so it's still really good. It would just turn a really good film into a absolutely fantastic, great film. So I still recommend this film. There's still so much enjoyment to get out of it. and I do recommend the Blu-ray extended cut. I recommend the extended cut. If you're going to watch it, watch the extended cut. But on Amazon, when I watched it free on Amazon Prime, I don't know if it's still there, even though it said extended cut on it and it was labelled as the extended cut, it was actually still the theatrical cut, it wasn't the extended cut. So I recommend the extended cut on Blu-ray, because like I said, and I'll always say it, unless you've got the best internet, the quality is never what it says it is. So yeah, get the extended cut on Blu-ray. And like I said, if you just want a fun action film, you'll still get that. If you want a deep and meaningful film, you'll get that. And if you want to watch great performances, you'll get that. So, you know, I definitely recommend this film. Thank you for watching this video. My next review will be for 300 Rise of an Empire. And I know that film isn't directed by Zack Snyder, but he did write it. It is his story. And he did produce it. So I will be reviewing that, and I will be reviewing that between this and Man of Steel, so I can go into Man of Steel and then Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, and then into the DCU film. So 300 Rise of an Empire is my next video. So I just wanted to say, you know, Zack Snyder did a great job directing it, great job writing it, and I can't say his writing partner's second name, so I'm going to put it in text here. And everything about the film's good in terms of, you know, visual presentation. Larry Fong, who did the cinematography, was brilliant. He did a great job with the cinematography. It looks absolutely fantastic. And William Hoy, who edited it, did a great job with the editing. I just wanted to say those last little bits before I finish this review. Sorry to tag it on at the end. I should have said it earlier, but I just wanted to say it here before I finish the video. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have watched it, I hope you agreed with what I said. Or if you don't agree with me, please let me know why. But if you don't agree, I hope it's because you like it even more. And, you know, if you haven't watched it, I hope I've convinced you to watch it. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you. Goodbye.